Hell of a thing, Jonesy said for the third time. Matt agreed. It was a hell of a thing. He turned his gaze from the gaggle of reporters smoking and talking beside the grouping of snarling cement saber-toothed tigers and returned his attention to the sticky, bedraggled corpse currently watching the birdie for the police photographer. Whoever had dumped the dead man had counted on the body sinking in the black ooze of the Brea pits, and in the heat of the summer, when the tar heated up and softened, maybe. But it was December, a little more than a week before Christmas, and it had been raining steadily for 2 days. No chance in hell. The body had rested there, face down in the rainwater, hiding the treacherous crust of tar beneath, until the museum paleontologists excavating the site for fossils had made the grisly early morning discovery.
"Looks kind of familiar,"
Jonesy remarked gloomily, as the plastered hair and drowned eyes were briefly illuminated in the white flash of the camera. Matt bit back a laugh. "Yeah, must be the fact that he's dead." Jonesy looked reproachful, although after 33 years on the homicide squad, he'd seen more than his share of stiffs. They both had, though Matt had seen more violent death and destruction during his 7 months in the Pacific than he had in his 11 years on the force.
"No identification on him at all?"
"Nope.
Even the label was cut out of his jacket. No sign of his hat or shoes."
Matt considered this. Soaking in water and tar hadn't done John Doe's clothes much good, and they'd have to wait till everything dried before they could hope to get much from an examination. How much they would get then was doubtful, but that suit didn't look particularly old or worn, and the tailoring was the kind that showed its worth even in the worst conditions, which these were. Laughter drifted from the circle of statues where the reporters and a couple of photographers waited impatiently. Matt knew most of them. Williams from the Peach, Mackey from the Times, Cohen from the Mirror, and Tara Renee of the Examiner. The only one he didn't recognize was the slim man lighting Tara's cigarette. Thin, brown fingers cupped the lighter against the damp breeze. Lean, tanned cheek creased in a smile as Tara flirted with him. Tara flirted with everyone, but she was a good little crime hound. "Who's that?" Matt asked Jonesy, and Jonesy looked up from the meticulous diagrams he was making of the crime scene and followed Matt's stare.
"Doyle, Tribune Herald. Heard he was with the 8th Army in North Africa till he picked up a case of lead poisoning."
Jonesy grinned his lopsided smile.
"Got hit by machine gun fire in Tunisia."
"Yeah, well, there's a lot of that going around." But Matt's interest was unwillingly caught. "So he's English?"
"Nah, hometown boy, Loot."
"Doc's here, Lieutenant," one of the uniformed officers said as the police ambulance bumped its way over the grassy verge. Matt nodded, and then nodded again toward the reporters. "Tell him I want to see Miss Renee and—" he thought it over. "And Doyle." When he glanced back, Jonesy was giving him an old-fashioned look. "What's that for?" He'd known Jonesy a long time. Jonesy had been Matt's old man's partner. Back then he'd been big and raw-boned with a shock of red hair and a face full of freckles. The hair was gray now, and the freckles had faded into a permanently ruddy complexion. But he was still one of the best detectives on the force. Sometimes Matt was afraid Jonesy was too good a detective.
"She's a firecracker, that dame. Can't understand why any woman would want the police beat."
"I guess she got tired of garden parties and ladies' fashion." He watched the uni approach the reporters, heard the protests of the men from the Daily News, the Times, and the Mirror, watched Doyle's surprise at the summons. Doyle looked past the officer and caught Matt's gaze. Matt held it for a moment. Then he looked away, jotting down a few more crime scene details in his notebook. From the tire tracks, it looked like whoever had dumped Mr. Doe into the goo had driven as close as he safely could to the water's edge. Maybe that meant something. Maybe not. Out of the corner of his eye, Matt could see Tara and Doyle crossing the soggy grass toward him. Tara's heels sank into the mud, and Doyle cupped a chivalrous hand beneath her elbow, which amused Matt in a sour way. Tara either had designs on Doyle or she thought she could get something out of him. Anyone else would have been handed his arm back half chewed.
"Doesn't look like he drowned,"
Jonesy was saying. "He didn't drown,"